So hello everyone, welcome to the tutorial session of LB330 secure transaction. If we look at the midterm examination of the year 2022. So the facts say that Mr. Cole agrees to employ John to be an inventory control manager of the company's warehouse and demands John to provide two guarantors to secure the damage intentionally or negligently caused by John while working, which means any damage caused by John in the course of his employment, that is the damage to secure. Now, Rob was asked to be guarantor by John, and Rob agrees. And then John cannot find the second guarantor, so requests his sister Sansa. Sansa then contacts Matthew Cole. Matthew Cole is a company who normally providing a guarantor service. And Matthew Cole offered to act as a guarantor under the condition that Sansa agrees to reimburse any payment made to Lannister company. Sansa accepts. So, to be considered here, the first point of concern, the agreement between Sansa and Matthew Cole is not the guarantee agreement. Because the guarantee agreement, according to section 680, it needs to be an agreement that if the debtor not pay, I will pay. But here Sansa agreed to reimburse, and not only that, Sansa did not enter into the contract with the creditor, but entered into the contract with the guarantor, which is Matthew Cole in this case. Therefore, this is not a guarantee contract. But it is innominate contract. It's something that's not specific contract which is enforceable due to the private autonomy. And the second point of concern is that because that multiple guarantor is Rob and Matthew Cole, alright? So no matter whether they sign a contract of guarantee in the same day or not, the law will put them as a joint debtor under section 682 paragraph 2. Now the contract of employment between Lannister, Cole and John. The contract of guarantee between Lannister, Cole and Rob, and also Lannister, Cole and Matthew Cole signed on the same day. So it's not a matter here. Because here Rob and Matthew Cole will be considered as a joint debtor under section 682 paragraph 2. In case of any liability, because there's no limited liability in this case that was put down. Therefore, liability between the joint debtor will be in accordance with section 296 in proportion equally. And by being joint debtors means that if the creditor asks only one guarantor to pay, they cannot go to say that, oh, I have not paid, we have another guarantor. It's like the creditor can choose to enforce it from Matthew Cole for the whole, or enforce in part from Matthew Cole and enforce another part from Rob, or enforce the whole part from Rob. That is fine. Parties produce two original of each contract signed by both parties, and each party keep one original. Then there's file breaking out of the office of Matthew Cole. Consequently, all documents destroyed. Then Matthew Cole asks Lannister Cole for a copy of the original contract. Lannister Cole staff being negligent and mails the original contract to the Matthew Cole. Now, this is the case of section 327 of Thai Civil and Commercial Code. When it comes to this kind of scenario, normally I have to say first that in order for the contract of guarantee to be enforceable, it must have the written evidence. So if one party hand over the written evidence to another party, means that that party will not be able to enter to the court and enforce the guarantee contract anymore. So this is why section 327 is a presumption of law. Like in case of this kind of document was handed over, it will deem that kind of obligation extinguished. So it means that like it was presumed that the contract of guarantee is now terminated because it's come to the extinguishment of the guarantee contract. However, because it is a presumption, so we have to look at the fact, because presumption cannot be the fact, alright? The law says presumed to be released, but no. In this case, we have to look at the intention. Whether or not by handing over have the intention to release or not, and the fact clearly say that, oh no, Lannister Cole did not have any intention to release. So section 171 will come into play to say that, nope, this is not a release. Then, while working, John negligently caused damage to Lannister Cole after assessing the loss. Lannister Cole demands John to pay the damage within 2 weeks. John fails. So, what is within 2 weeks? This within 2 weeks is not a prescription. It is just something like a reminder for John to pay at a certain time. Alright? And when is the point that the guarantor have to be liable in this case? Like when is the point that the debtor is in default? So if the damage occurred from tort, obligation law say that okay, alright, the debtor is in default from the date that he committed the tort. So it means that now the debtor once causing the damage negligently, he is in default. So say the managing director of the Lancaster Co. then orders her staff to send the notice demanding payment from Mattel Co. and Rob. Once receiving the notice, Mattel Co. claims that Lancaster Co. cannot enforce the contract, as it is terminated once the original contract be returned to Mattel Co. And so they inform that Lancaster Co. no longer accept Mattel Co. to be a guarantor if it refuses to pay. So to be honest, in the last sentence, I am not so sure what is the meaning, so I will ignore it first. Alright, but here, so the managing director of Lancaster Co. ordered her staff to send the notice. So under section 686, the notice to be sent must be written notice within 60 days from the date that the debtor is default. So it means from the day that damage occurred in this case. If the notice did not send in 60 days, then the guarantor will be discharged from the interest, the accessory debt, for example, compensation, or any penalties that occur after that 60 days. Just only that. And another point is that the creditor cannot demand from the guarantor before the arrival of the notice. However, guarantor can always go to the creditor and say that, alright, I will pay. So the first question, is the contract of guarantee terminate as claimed by Mattel Co.? So in my opinion, in this case, I already answered that although it is a presumption to terminate the contract because you already handed back the document. That document in Thai we call เอกสารสิทธิ์ we already handed that kind of document. The law will presume that alright, there's no more obligations, but because it is presumption, it can be override. And in this case, we can see that there's no intention at all, and therefore, the contract of guarantee never have terminated. Now, apart from Mattel Co. claims, is there any other defense the guarantor can set up against Lancaster Co.? So we have to look at first, like when we talk about the defense, in fact. Defense is something that the company of that Mattel Co., in this case with the guarantor, can say that, no, I'm not liable. It is not the right to contend. It is not the argument that, oh, I not yet received the notice. That is not defense, but it is a argument that, can be raised up. However, if there any defense that now the guarantor can say that, yeah, I will not be liable anymore. So, if we look again, we can see that the damage to be secure in this case is the damage intentionally and negligently caused by John while working. What does this mean? It means that the damage does not yet occur. It is the future obligation. And we can see that there's no fact say that what information that was included in a guarantee contract between the guarantor and the creditors. This means that one kind of the defense that may be raised up is from the contract of guarantor itself, from section 681 paragraph 2. We have to put in the purpose of the guarantee agreement, which kind of damage, the nature of the obligation to secure, the maximum amount, and also the period for the guarantor to be liable, except it is the series of transactions. However, in this case, it is a series of transactions, so you may abandon the last element. But if there's no this kind of if there's no the first or second or third elements, lack of one thing will totally make the contract of the guarantee void according to section 685/1. This means that if we can raise up something about the voidness, it is the guarantor defense that can be raised up under section 694. Another part that never be mentioned, and although I think that it is not a defense but should be answered, is the right to contend. When in this case, right to content involved is section 688 and section 689. Section 690 will not be considered because there's no fact about the real security. But 688 is the case in which when the creditor come to demand the guarantor can say that, all right, why don't go to demand from the debtor first, because we still have the debtor. Anyway, it is just a may, so it is not compulsory for the creditor to go to demand from the debtor. But section 689 is a must. If the guarantor can prove that the debtor still has means to perform, and to enforce the performance is not difficult, then the creditor has to go direct to the property of the debtor first. Now, if Mattelco decides to make a payment, can it demand reimbursement from Rob and John? Of course, in this case, we look back again, who is Rob and who is John. John is the debtor, and Rob is another guarantor. So now we have this kind of relation. We have creditor, we have Mattel, and we have Rob here as second guarantor, and we have John as a debtor. So if Mattelco decide to pay, which means that although he have any defense, which is guarantor defense, because in this case there's no fact about the debtor defense. If he decide to pay, well, there's no any effect about his own defense. It is about the guarantor defense. He can either raise it up or not. That is depends on him, and the reimbursement still there. So if Mattelco decide to pay the creditor, Mattelco will be given the right of reimbursement under section 693 to demand directly from John, who is the debtor, the right of reimbursement, including the principal debt and interest, or the part that he suffered because of the reason of guarantee. Or he can subrogate under section 229 subsection 3 because he was put in the position of the joint debtor, which Rob here, to demand another proportion from Rob. So that is it. Can he demand reimbursement from Rob and John? The answer is yes. And now if Mattelco decide to make a payment and demand Sansa for reimbursement, does Sansa have the right to recourse against John under section 693? So now because we also have Sansa to say that, alright, if Mattelco have paid any damage to the creditor, Sansa will reimburse to Mattel, but this is not guaranteed. Alright. So now we look at the effect after Mattelco pay. It is the subrogation here, where Mattelco will be in the position of the creditor. Here's Rob is the guarantor. His position of the guarantor because he's the joint debtor. And we also have another person who is John. This is the right of reimbursement under section 693. Mattelco can demand from 229 subsection 3. And we also have Sansa here, that Mattelco can reimburse not by any provision but by agreement. So if Sansa pay Mattelco, of course Sansa can subrogate into Mattelco position, but this is not the case that Sansa have the right to recourse under section 693 because Sansa is not guarantor, and also Sansa did not pay it to the creditor because Mattelco is not the original creditor. Therefore, this is not the right that if Sansa subrogate into M position, Sansa will get it from section 693. Nope. Which section that Sansa will get, in my opinion, I think it is section 229, subsection 3. However, I have discussed this with Ajahn last class briefly, and we are not so sure whether it is section 229, subsection 3 or not, but I still cannot find any section else. So, yeah, that is it.